when a ruler is useless, you depose him. And therefore, we have deposed Kwame Nkrumah. We don't want tyranny or anything here.
On 24th of February 1966, the government of Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown in a military coup d'etat. The coup was led by army officers including Colonel E.K. Kotoka, Major A.A. Afrifa, Lieutenant General retired J.E. Ankra, and Police Inspector General J.W.K. Haley.
As you've already been told, I need no introduction myself. But on my left here is the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Haley, who is the Deputy Chairman of the National Liberation Council. On my right is Major General E.K. Kotoka, who is the second member or the first member.
They justified their takeover by accusing the Convention People's Party administration of corruption and abuse of power. The coup leaders expressed concern over Nkrumah's assertive engagement in African politics, particularly his belief that Ghanaian troops could be deployed across the continent to participate in liberation wars, despite the fact that such missions never materialized. Most importantly, they highlighted the lack of democratic practices in the country, claiming that this situation had negatively impacted the morale of the armed forces. General Kotoka characterized the 1996 military coup as a nationalist action, asserting that it liberated the nation from Nkrumah's dictatorship, a declaration that was supported by Alex Kwesi-Saki, Nkrumah's former Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Order of business at the opening session is the naming of a new president for the year, and the unanimous choice is Alex Kwesi-Saki of Ghana. The 40-year-old diplomat wears his native robes for the occasion, instead of his usual Western dress. He is the first African to be chosen for such a high office.
However, beneath the surface of this nationalist narrative, there were indications that these people were heavily paid to cause damage to their own country. The United States and the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, were secretly involved in orchestrating the coup. They were behind and secretly pulling the strings. Please don't forget to like the video, hit the subscribe button, and smash the notification bell. Thank you so much. According to John Stockwell and a declassified National Security Council and Central Intelligence Agency documents provide compelling new evidence of U.S. government involvement in the 1996 overthrow of Ghanaian President Kwame Nkrumah. While charges of U.S. involvement are not new, support for them was lacking until 1978 when a strong evidence was provided from an unlikely source, a former CIA case officer, John Stockwell, who reported first-hand testimony in his memoir In Search of Enemies, a CIA Story. According to Stockwell, he wrote, "The inside story came to me from an egotistical friend who had been chief of the CIA station in Accra, Ghana at the time. Stockwell was one station away in Ivory Coast. Subsequent investigations by the New York Times and Covert Action Information Bulletin identified the station chief as Howard T. Barnes, who operated undercover as a political officer in the U.S. Embassy. According to John Stockwell, the CIA's Accra station played a crucial role in the coup d'etat that removed Kwame Nkrumah, maintaining close ties with the plotters and coordinating intelligence effort. The CIA official called Howard T. Barnes proposed the radical actions, including storming the Chinese embassy, eliminate everyone inside during the coup, seize secret documents, and blow up the building to cover up evidence. But this was rejected.
General Ankra can squash a mayor, but will he make a national leader?
Of course, he's a very, very experienced soldier. He rose from the ranks. He served in India and Burma during the war as a warrant officer. After the war, he was commissioned and rose steadily up to be a major general. He was retired a few months ago, and of course has now been brought back as commander of the forces.
He was really kicked out by Nkrumah.
Yes, it was never announced in so many words. In fact, he took the initiative to resign, but he's always been a very popular figure, and he's certainly a remarkably fine general, and I think will be a very good leader.
Do you expect him to stay in charge of Ghana, or do you
Well,
think...
that I don't know at all. One doesn't know how long these military regimes have to last.
The station received unofficial credit for the coup, which resulted in the death of Soviet advisors. Stockwell pointed out that these activities were not accurately recorded in the CIA records. On March 11th of 1965, almost a year before the coup, William P. Mahoney, the U.S. ambassador to Ghana, participated in a candid discussion in Washington, D.C. with CIA Director John A. McConney and the Deputy Chief of the CIA's Africa Division, whose name had been withheld. Significantly, the Africa Division was part of the CIA's Directorate of Plans, or Dirty Tricks component, through which the government pursued its covert policies. Mahoney referred to a recent report which mentioned that the top coup conspirators were scheduled to meet on 10th March, at which time they would determine the timing of the coup. However, he warned, because of a tendency to procrastinate, any specific date they set should be accepted with reservations, in a reversal of what would be assumed were the traditional roles of an ambassador and the CIA director. McConney asked Mahoney who would most likely succeed in Nkrumah in the event of a coup. Mahoney again correctly forecast the future. Ambassador Mahoney stated that initially, at least, a military junta would take over. Mahoney was not a visionary, but rather a representative of the US government commitment in collaboration with other Western nations to orchestrate Nkrumah's downfall. He advised denying Ghana's forthcoming aid request to further weaken Nkrumah, believing that neither the Chinese nor the Soviet would adequately support him financially, and that the British would maintain a hardline stance against providing him with any assistance. Simultaneously, Mahoney appeared to mislead Nkrumah into thinking that both the US and the UK would come to his financial aid, suggesting that current US aid levels should be maintained, as they would be remembered long after Nkrumah's tenure. Nkrumah knew that his life was really at stake and even grew more convinced when his close friend, Patrice Lumumba, the former Prime Minister of the Congo, was assassinated, which he strongly believed was orchestrated by the invincible government of the US.
The assassination of Patrice Lumumba, however, is unique in that this is the first time in history that the ruler of a country has been killed in the very presence of the United Nations forces, whom he himself had invited to his country to restore law and order.
Howard Thomas Bunn, who was the CIA station chief in Accra, engineered the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah. Howard Bunn got a double promotion and was awarded the Intelligence Star for the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah. The magic of it was that Howard Bunn had enough imagination and drive to run this operation without ever documenting what he was doing, and there wasn't one shred of paper that was generated that could name the CIA hierarchy as being responsible. After the coup, the once wealthy nation of Ghana was milked dry. Kwame Nkrumah fled into exile to Conakry, Guinea, never to return to his home country. After 19 years of prosperity under Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana slid back into the dark ages. After the coup, the Kaiser Dam that Nkrumah worked on flourished and continued to make payments to the World Bank and even yielded dividends to its parent corporation. The people of Ghana saw almost none of the benefits. Instead, they were served with one military coup after another, 7 in total. In the 1950s, the world celebrated Nkrumah in Ghana. After the coup, the American propaganda machine painted the country and its leaders as corrupt, savage, and unstable to handle the process of modern industrialization. Kwame Nkrumah's organization was hijacked by the world nations and is now a tool to expand the program of African exploitation. But then, even in exile, Nkrumah continued to write and inspire Pan-Africanists. In The Challenge of the Congo, he wrote that the political economic situation in the world is one in which a tiny minority of the people grow richer and richer while the rest grow poorer and poorer, and elaborated by saying that the situation required world socialism as it was the only remedy. Nkrumah said For as long as capitalism and imperialism go unchecked, there will always be exploitation and an ever-widening gap between the haves and have-nots, and all the evil of imperialism and neocolonialism, which bred and sustained wars.